Hey everyone, today I'll be discussing about the lesson 1, the fishing methods and gears. In this lesson, we will know different fishing methods or techniques on catching fish. As you can see in the picture, there are different ways or lines, hooks, nets that are being used to harvest an aquatic resources. Let's know them one by one. What are the fishing methods and gears used to harvest aquatic resources? Let's know the basic Philippine fishing methods and gears. So first, passive gear using bare hand, a method that is composed of the simplest forms of gathering aquatic sources like hand picking and diving. Passive gear using bare hand. This is the simplest method of fishing. It uses little to no tools and mostly relies on human effort and skill. For example, since it uses bare hands, it includes hand picking shells or crabs or diving to harvest aquatic resources. Second one is the active gear. So active gear, a method that depends on the psychological reaction of fish to certain physical or chemical properties. For example, the mechanical stupefying. Active gear method depends on how fish react to movement, light, sound, or any certain physical things or chemical properties being thrown at where the fish is hiding. For example, the mechanical stupefying. So, fish are stunned or injured to make them easier to catch. So, in short, fisherman uses any objects like stones, clubs, hammers, or and even using the illegal way of harvesting aquatic resources like the dynamite. Take note, using dynamite fishing is not allowed for it destroys the marine life and the habitats of the oceans. The fishing using miscellaneous hand or grappling instruments are generally used for gathering sessile or trap animals. So this third method is also known as panikwat. So these are the hand or grappling instruments or known as panikwat. So it is a gathering tools used to collect slow moving or attach aquatic animals or stock aquatic animals under the rock. So for example, these are the tools they uses during catching a slow moving aquatic resources like shells, different kinds of shells, crabs, and many more slow moving aquatic resources. So they usually use these kind of tools like shovels, tongs, gaffs, hose, scrappers, and so much. So next is the wounding gear. So gears used by man who to wound a fish from some distance, either by throwing pointed objects or using special equipments like spears, lances, and arrows. So these are the instruments with pointed or barbed blades at the right straight tip which are not removable from the handle and generally thrown by hand or sometimes from a gun or bow like device like pana, sibat, salapang, or tiksal. Now, the fourth one, the wounding gear. These are the tools used to injure fish from a distance. Like for example, spears and arrows or the sibat, pana, and salapang. It is used to catch fish by targeting them from a distance. generally being thrown by a fisherman, and and that is that is the ways they can harvest aquatic resources, or mainly fish. Is harpoons. So harpoons, pointed instruments with barbed blades, detachable from the handle and either thrown by hand or discharged from a gun or panibat or pamaril. So the next gear is called harpoon. So as you can see in the picture, it has a pointed blades that is detachable from the handle, and the ways of using this is by throwing it by hand, or even loaded it from a gun or a fishing rifle. So this is one of the ways to harvest aquatic animals or fish. Fishing rifle. Fishing rifle is a fishing implement designed to launch a spear at fish or other underwater animals. Is the barriers and traps, gears that lead the fish into a situation or enclosure from which it cannot escape, or from which the way of escape is not easily located. Now, the barriers and traps, these are structures that prevent fish from escaping. So, a barricade is made of materials like wood, bamboo, rocks, or plants, and is built across fish path pathways to block movement. Now, it uses to prevent fish from escaping is shelter. Fish shelter, a structure made of anchored bunches of twigs and bushes, piles of rocks or pools, which become the hiding place for fishes. Now, fish shelter also to one of the ways to harvest aquatic resources or fish. So it is made of branches like rocks where fish naturally gather and hide, and by at the end of the time the fisherman will come the fish corrals, a guiding barrier constructed of bamboo, brush, or chicken wire, which is set in tidal waters or along natural ways of fishes. So, as you can see in the photos, in the image, this is what a fish coral looks like. It is like structure made of bamboo or wire placed in the water to guide fish into traps. So, a fish coral is a trap that prevents fish from escaping. Now, let's talk about fishing with lines. So, this method uses hooks and a bait to catch fish. Is hand lines. So, long, simple lines with one or small series of hooks requiring constant attention. Now, a hand line is a simple fishing line with one or more hooks that is operated manually. Now, this is also one of the fishing methods that can be used to harvest aquatic resources or fish. Now, the second one is simple hand line or drop line, pangawil or kawil. So, it is a single line with one or two barb hooks. Is multiple hand line. So multiple hand line, it is a single with line series of barb hooks. Now, this multiple hand line, it is uses a single line. So it is a one line, but along with the lines, it has a series of hooks or barb hooks where many fish can be catched. Jigger used in catching squids or also known as kawil pangpusit. So as you can see in the image, this is what a jigger looks like. A jigger is a special line used only or mainly for catching squid. Next is the pole and line, hand line. So pole and line attached to a pole or bingwit used with various kinds baits, baliwasnan or also known as baliwasnan or bingwit. Now, a pole and line is a fishing line attached to a stick or a pole with bait at the end. So this is also one of the techniques or methods to harvest fish or to. So a long line is a very long fishing line with many baited hooks attached on it. So there are two sets of long lines. The set long lines. So set long lines are lines anchored or fixed and not free to move with the current. So this is what a set long lines looks like. So it is anchored in one place and left in the water for some time. That is all my topic all about the fishing methods and gears. So fishing methods and gears play an important role in providing food and livelihood for many people in the Philippines. So these methods ranges from simple techniques like the passive gear to active gear, hand gathering to more complex methods of harvesting aquatic resources, like it uses nets, traps, and long lines, where each method is designed for specific types of fish and fishing environments. So it is also important to use these methods properly and responsibly to protect our marine resources